Good morning, everyone. May I ask all our panelists to unmute and we shall begin very soon. Put on your video also. All right. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Red.
Good
Morning.
Morning.
Red.
Morning.
Morning.
Magandang umaga sa mga kasama natin sa panel ngayon. To the press, good morning, our guests here in Zoom, and to everyone, all those tuning in via Facebook Live. Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat. Um, I hope you're all having a great day. I hope you're all safe and well. And I hope the weekend will be even more glorious for everyone. My name is Red Constantino. I'm with the Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities, or ICSC, and I will be moderating our press briefing today. Welcome to everyone who's joined and to everyone who's tuning in. Maraming salamat po. We have a lot of announcements to make in this event, and there's a lot to discuss and learn about as we mark the midpoint of our tiny activity, which I hope will result in big things for the country. This press briefing is about the first ever Mobility Awards, which was launched last September 22. That was World Car Free Day. The award aims to recognize bike-friendly local government units, workplaces, and commercial establishments in Metro Manila, and challenge the rest to keep up. The Mobility Awards is driven by a simple goal. We put this together to help prioritize the needs of the majority of Filipinos who do not have cars. This inaugural round will focus on cycling in Metro Manila, where 88% of households do not own cars. But we do hope to hold the awards nationwide in the very near future. And after that, we also expect that we will expand beyond cycling. For now, we start modest with Metro Manila because we want to see and tap first the enthusiasm of our fellow citizens and also to let the others know that earlier, once it's time to move to the national stage, at least our colleagues from outside of Metro Manila will be even more prepared. But first we start here. Our main goal is, of course, to prioritize the needs of the majority and to push for active, sustainable, and inclusive mobility for everyone, including pedestrians and especially commuters who use public transport. Biased po tayo para sa mga nakararami. The organizers composed of active mobility advocates and representatives from organizations promoting inclusive mobility will be joining us shortly for a discussion in a bit to talk more about the awards. They will be available to questions from the press. This is why we have a lengthier time. And certainly for those who want to arrange interviews after, our colleagues with the communications teams will be more than happy to help. So before we proceed, kamustahan siyempre muna bilang mga Pinoy. I'd like to say hi first to our colleagues watching us today from different places in the country, in Metro Manila as well. Sa mga taga Metro Manila, let's prepare and let's be even more ready to join and rev up our participation in the awards. And those who are looking from outside of Metro Manila, watch carefully because it will soon be your turn at mas bonggal lagi paglabas na sa Metro Manila. We are joined today by 5 people who made the inaugural round of the Mobility Awards possible. And I'd like to introduce our first speaker. She's the head of ICSC's Urban Transitions team, advancing active mobility as part of sustainable transport solutions for cities. She also advises our organization on our gender work. She has had over 2 decades of experience in development work, mostly doing participatory research and policy analysis in sustainable agriculture, agricultural biodiversity, livelihood systems, and trade. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Golda Hilario. Hello,
Magand
Golda.
Hello, Red. Hello sa lahat. Magandang umaga and healthier weekend para sa lahat.
We'll hear more from Golda shortly, but I'd like to introduce our other speakers too. Our next speaker is an urban planner who founded Manila Moves, a community that works to get more people cycling and walking more often and in more places. Mabigat na trabaho, but mabigat ang commitment niya. He advises ICSC's urban transition team and is also a program manager of Cardo International Development. Before the community quarantine began, he rode his folding bicycle every day from his home in Cainta to his office in Makati. But the only difference now is nagpalit lang siya ng kabayo. He still rides his bicycle every day, but on a different bike. Mas pogi yata, but I'm not sure. He'll probably tell us later. Welcome, Aldrin Pelicano. Magandang umaga, Aldrin.
Magandang umaga, Red, at sa ating mga kasama dito ngayon sa ating event. Salamat.
Good morning sa iyong bisikleta. Tatanungin natin later anong pangalan ng bisikleta mo kung meron. Our third speaker is a climate policy development expert with almost a decade of experience in the development sector. She has advised key government officials in helping shape and advance the country's climate agenda, nationally, regionally, and internationally, including through the Climate Vulnerable Forum and Vulnerable 20 Group of Finance Ministers, composed of 48 governments of some of the most vulnerable countries nationwide. The branch manager of the Climate Reality Project Philippines, Nazreen Camille Castro. Hello, Naz.
Hi, good morning, Red. Hello po
Yeah.
sa mga kasama natin sa media at sa aking mga co-panelists. And syempre sa mga nanonood via Facebook Live. Shout out sa mga climate reality leaders. Hi!
Hello, everyone. Hello to all climate reality leaders. Thank you, Naz. Our next speaker is the Asian finance campaigner of 350.org, a global grassroots climate movement. He is also a volunteer of the Manila-based collective 350.org Pilipinas. Prior to joining 350, he spent a decade building up the digital campaigning capacity of Greenpeace in Southeast Asia, responsible for the peak of some of the best years of Greenpeace in the country and in the region. He started his involvement in activism in his college days. Kasama ko po siya, schoolmate ko, taga-PUP rin po siya. Welcome, Chuck Bucklago. Magandang araw, Chuck.
Isang makakalikasang umaga, Red, at sa ating mga taga-subaybay at sa mga kaibigan natin sa media.
Thank you, Chuck. Shout out sa lahat ng mga taga-PUP. Last but certainly not the least, she is an executive assistant with 17 years of experience working alongside diplomatic missions and international organizations. She is also a strong advocate for women and girls empowerment, breastfeeding, and cycling. A bike commuter of 6 years, she created what is considered to be by many, including myself, as one of the best and most useful pages in Facebook of late, the Pinay Bike Commuter Facebook, which started last June and as a platform to share stories of Filipina bike commuters, as well as the Pinay Bike Commuter Community, a private Facebook group for practicing and aspiring Filipina bike commuters. If you want to talk about inclusivity on the road or in your household or office, she is the person to talk to. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Jaramia Amarnani, in short, lumilingon sa pangalang Jerry. Hi, Jerry. Hello, kamusta?
Hello, magandang umaga. Magandang umaga po. I'm very happy to be part of this team. And kumusta po sa ating mga media personalities and sa mga nakikinig din po. And shout out sa lahat ng Filipina bike commuters sa buong Pilipinas. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Jerry. Okay, that's the kind of greeting that we'd like. A little bit of a warning lang, because I think my situation is the same in many households. If ever my signal fluctuates and I drop off, a colleague of mine will step in and will moderate and probably will do it even better. So don't be surprised if suddenly nagka-signal fluctuation. We are all dealing with the same internet system in the country, and we will get over all these challenges together. So just a reminder for everyone before we start, you can see, especially for our guests and press, you can see a Q&A tab, question and answer tab below your Zoom screen. Hanapin niyo po yun. If you have questions for our speakers, you may park them on the Q&A tab, and then ililista namin and we will answer them during the open forum later. Marami kami nagno-notes po. Please put your full name and organization as well. And to those tuning in via Facebook Live, you may also leave your questions in the comments section. Parami tayo ng parami, palaki ng palaki ang ating hanay. And so we want more participation, feedback, comments, questions, suggestions. Without further ado, let us begin this briefing. Our panelists will be the speakers. I'm just moderating. The floor is yours, my good friends. Speakers, please. It's your turn.
Thank you, Red, for that very comprehensive introductions to our press briefing this morning. Gaya po ng nabanggit ni Red kanina, ako po si Aldrin Pelicano, and I am an urban planner and also a daily, everyday transport cyclist, meaning I ride my bike to go to everywhere in Metro Manila, to go to work every day, to do quick errands, market runs, even before the pandemic, and hanggang ngayon po, yun pa rin ang aking primary choice of transport. So if you can show the next slide, please. We hope that you've been following our Facebook page and also the website ng Mobility Awards. We launched the Mobility Awards more than a month ago, and we have opened up the nomination period to cover bike-friendly cities, communities, and also businesses and workplaces. So for my particular part, I'm here to present to you the initial nominees for bike-friendly local government units. And in Metro Manila, we have received 10 nominations, or 10 LGUs have been nominated so far to date. And this include Caloocan, Makati, Mandaluyong, Manila, Marikina, Muntinlupa, Pasig, Quezon City, San Juan, and Taguig. So meron pa po tayong kulang na 7. And hopefully, nominations will come in mula po sa inyong lahat, sa publiko, mga kapwa namin siklista, or even definitely hindi naman kailangan kayo siklista or bike commuter to nominate your cities if you believe that they have implemented or are doing bike-friendly programs to promote cycling as transport, particularly now amid the pandemic. But next slide, please. Among these 10 LGU nominations, we would like to highlight 2. First one being San Juan City. We want to highlight yung efforts ng San Juan City, led by Mayor Francis Zamora, when during the early stage ng quarantine period, they have put up protected pop-up bike lanes, temporary bike lanes along major thoroughfares sa kanilang lungsod. And itong litratong kuha namin ng aming komunidad is actually an old photo because I think more than 2 weeks ago, Mayor Zamora relaunched this pop-up bike lane, and they have improved it actually dahil they also wanted to make it more protected, separated from motorcycles in particular. Kaya continuous yung kanilang improvement, and this is something that we want to highlight and should be an inspiration to other local government units. The second LGU that we want to highlight this morning is Pasig City. In this photo, this is also during the early weeks ng quarantine restrictions sa Metro Manila, and they have already recognized that more and more Pasigueños have shifted to cycling when they go to market. In particular dito sa kanilang city market, they have put up temporary bike racks. This was around March and April, but we are happy or pleased to share as well that as early as last month, the more permanent bike racks were installed around the city, using very good design, and really value for money in terms of making these procurements. And apart from that, itong mga programang ito are really contextualized and supported by policies and ordinances that they have put up or adopted in their program in their city. So ito yung klase ng nominations that we want to see from everyone. We encourage still, lalo dos mga natitira pang 7 na LGUs. We will definitely not know every effort being done by LGUs. So it's really up to you, the public, to our friends and colleagues. Kung sa tingin niyo karapat-dapat ang inyong LGU to be nominated sa unang Mobility Awards, please feel free, go to our website, www.mobilityawards.ph, and make your nominations. Salamat, Red.
Thank you, Aldrin. Next up, Nazreen.
Yes, salamat, Fred. Hello ulit sa ating mga online viewers at media representatives. Hello po, magandang umaga. So for my part, ang ipepresent ko po ay ang categories on workplaces, most bike-friendly workplaces. Ano itong mga to? Yung standalone firms, co-working spaces, and mixed office buildings in Metro Manila. At the same time, yung mga commercial establishments. Ano itong mga to? Standalone stores, restaurants, hotels, and malls in Metro Manila. Okay, mauna po tayo. Initial nominees for workplaces, we have 10. We have Gopher, China Bank Savings, One Griffin Stone Building, Acquire, Grand Fos, Sykes, Security Bank in Ayala, Risk Designs Marikina, the Medical City Ortigas, S&P Global Philippines. I'd also like to share some initiatives of these nominees to encourage biking. Here are some dedicated parking spots for bikes in China Bank Savings. That's in, highlight ko lang na sa Senator Hill Puyat Branch, Makati po yan. And another, sa Security Bank Corporation Ayala, ayan po, meron po silang shower facility. Okay. Susunod naman po, I think ito yung pinakamarami. We have 27 initial nominees for commercial establishments. So makita niyo po sa listahan, SM. Maraming salamat. Yan, SM Mega Mall, Mall of Asia. We also have the Podium Ortigas. Next slide. We also have Robinsons in the list. Ayala Malls. Yan, UP Town Center. We also have Decathlon, Alabang, Pasig, and Tiendesitas. And next slide. Okay, we have Eton Centris, UCC Park Cafe. So very specific. Mercury Drugstore, Malanday. Pande Americana, Green Hills Ortigas, Bonifacio Technology Center, S. Maison, Burger King. We also have 7-Eleven convenience store, Gateway Araneta City, and Fisher Mall, Quezon Avenue. Like the workplaces, we also want to highlight some of the initiatives from our nominees. So makikita nyo sa picture, we have dedicated bike lanes, bike racks, and stations. Yan po ay sa SM Mall of Asia sa Pasay City. Next slide. We also have bike racks. Yan ang bike racks sa UCC Park Cafe, Ayala Avenue, Makati. Red and my co-panelists, I would just like to share a few things about the Climate Reality Project Philippines and why we partnered with our fellow civil society organizations for this Mobility Awards. Just to give a bit of context, the Climate Reality Project Philippines is a country chapter of the Climate Reality Project founded by former US Vice President Al Gore. So in the Philippines, the strength of the organization is really the 1,234 Pinoy climate reality leaders we have in the country. So ibig sabihin, ito mga climate reality leaders na to, they were trained by Al Gore and renowned scientists worldwide. So we are essentially a community. And sustainable urban mobility is an area that our climate reality leaders focus on. So how do we do our ways of work? So through the initiatives and work of our climate reality leaders, we are able to push this kind of initiatives through their own fields, expertise. So for the Climate Reality Project Philippines, it is essential that we include the private sector to push the campaign of liberating the 88% of Filipino households in Metro Manila without a car, because they are part of the problem and can therefore also be part of the solution. Before the pandemic, ang usual natin is we go to our workplace 5 or 6 times a week. In a week, we also run errands, either banking, groceries, or shopping. We spend weekends or even after work R&Rs in malls and restaurants. And most of the time, we do drive to these places. So mind you, every time na may tatayo na mall, ang normal reaction would be, nako, magta-traffic na naman dito. Bakit? Kasi we have been so used to that mindset na traveling to a destination in Metro Manila will only be safe and efficient via cars. So we see the private sector as a catalyst to influence their respective city leadership to be more cycling friendly. If commercial establishments and workplaces offer these services na bike friendly, pero yung road systems natin managed by local government units do not have the safe bike lanes, we are not being effective, holistic, and responsive dun sa employees and customers' needs. Kaya they need to be really interconnected and work together. There are already researches that cycling contributes to the local economy and emergence of new local urban businesses. So bicycle shops, repair workshops, and also boost local tourism kasi there are hidden gems in our cities na accessible lang by foot or bicycles, which itong mga local tourism spots na to, they host a chain of novelty and souvenir shops as well. On a healthy competition side of things, best practices of these workplaces and commercial establishments can also encourage and inspire similar workplaces and commercial establishments in the area. For example, whether I drive a car to the mall or whether I cycle to the mall, I should be accorded the same opportunity to have a safe parking space. This shows that the mall management cares for me as a customer because I'm given an option. We're seeing bicycles in a new light in this pandemic. As we all know, they have become a primary means of transport for our health workers, service and delivery personnel, and frontliners. Especially now that we limit our longer exposure in public places, productivity in our daily routine is very important. So quick errands, yung short and repeated trips should be done by bicycle. An establishment that offer options for safe parking spaces for bicycles would create a network of loyal customers. Also, we see that the private sector has a role in cultivating a culture of biking. Kasi when they provide safe and more bike parking spaces in their offices and establishments, we encourage our employees and customers as well na mag-bike na kasi they're given an option. So aside from protected bike lanes, maganda rin yung mga hinighlight natin kanina na merong showers, lockers, and dressing rooms, lalo na sa mga employees who bike commute. And lastly, gusto ko lang i-re-echo since we are 4 partners here in the Mobility Awards. This was said by one of our climate reality leaders that the pandemic has brought bike groups and civil society groups to really push for the establishment of an interconnected bike lane network. It will be a testament on how civil society was able to make a difference and change the way we think about transport. That change will be the signal fire that we need to show that together it can be done. So yun lang. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Naz. Maraming salamat. Kaya if you were paying close attention to all the viewers, this is the reason why Naz is part of the panel of judges. She knows what she's talking about.
Salamat, Red.
Its advocacy of mobility is very close to everyone's hearts. Before I ask the next speaker, just returning greetings. No, good morning din pabalik sa inyo. Lauren Celentino, a cyclist, our Out Mobility friends, Ira Cruz, Sir Joey, Sindayan Pinalas, no? Magandang umaga. Mabuhay ang PUP. Next speaker, of course, the founder of Pinay Bike Commuter Community. Jerry, over to you.
Magandang umaga po uli. So I will be talking about the criteria and evaluation. So paano ba namin ito basically i-judge? So all nominations will be evaluated and ranked according to the 3 I's. I's as in India, that are consistent in making great places for cycling. So ang pinakauna po, next slide. So meron tayong tatlong 3 I's: infrastructure, integration, and implementation. Sa infrastructure po, of course, we will be focusing on the presence of physical infra and end-of-trip facilities katulad ng bike racks, number 1 po yan, storage areas, kung meron po silang water stations, changing rooms, shower rooms. So yun po. Ang pangalawa is integration. Meron bang mga programs or policies or mga plano that would enable cycling to promote it as a safe and kumbaga number 1 choice for commuters to use. And syempre hindi natin pwedeng kalimutan yung ating mga vulnerable sectors like the children and the youth, and also yung ating mga kababaihan na very prone to catcalling and street harassment. So yun po yung titingnan natin. Yung pangatlo po is, of course, implementation. Maraming magandang plano ang Pilipinas. Pagdating sa mga plano, pagdating sa mga policies, napakaganda po in paper. Pero sa implementation, kailangan din po natin makita yon. Kumusta naman ang mga bike racks, na maintain ba yung mga facilities, na maintain ba, nasusustain ba? Kasi hindi lang pwedeng one-off thing. It should be something na kailangan tuloy-tuloy at naaalagaan para maging consistent din yung mga gagamit. So I would just like to talk about further a little bit about Pinay Bike Commuters. Bakit ko po siya tinayo? Una ko pong tinayo yung Pinay Bike Commuters community. Kasi po, nung nagsimula akong magbisikleta around 6 years ago, I'm very happy that I was able to find sila Aldrin sa Manila Moves at saka Bike to Work Pilipinas, si Ekong. So when I joined there, so masaya ako, marami ako nakikitang bike commuters. But then again, napapansin ko minsan may mga issues ako as may mga concerns ako as a female bike commuter na medyo parang off na i-share doon sa grupo na yon. You know, specifically for example about periods or anything na very much unique for a Filipina biker. So actually matagal kong napag-isipan yon, and also with friends from Manila Moves team. And when I met Miss Karen Silva Crisostomo, if you know her, I was very much inspired by her and my team. And sabi ko, gawa tayo ng community. And they all agreed. Now we're all moderators of that. And then after that, sabi ko, siguro kailangan ma-highlight lahat ng Filipina bikers. Kailangan maikwento sa lahat na merong nagbibisikletang kababaihan. So kaya ko rin po tinayo yung Pinay Bike Commuter page. Every other day, I would post stories of Filipina bikers from all walks of life, from all parts of the Philippines. I would like personally message them and tell them, would you like to share your story? Kasi, you know, napaka-importante na marinig ang kwento. Kasi doon ka talaga makaka-relate sa mga kwento na pinopost ng mga kababaihan. So, I'm very happy kasi until now, marami pa rin ako sa listahan ko na gustong magkwento. It's not really for gusto nilang magpasikat. Hindi, kasi every one of us in the community, in the Pinay Bike Commuter community, we want to really encourage one another. May mga members din po kami doon na hindi pa nagbibisikleta, pero since the time na we established it in June 12, our Independence Day, may mga private messages na parang, sis, na-encourage ako, ngayon nagbibisikleta na ako. So, yung mga stories na gano'n, yun yung talagang fuel sa amin na magpatuloy at makipagtulungan, makipagkapwa sa bawat kababaihang Pilipino. So, yun lang po, Sir Red. Thank you.
Jerry, thank you very much. Laking bagay. Of course, the bike community is growing, but it's also not big enough that we don't know one another. Kung pareho yung Karen Crisostomo na binabanggit mo, yun yata yung mahilig sa fermented buko juice. No? I'm hoping she's listening. No? Hello din kay Annie. No? May nag-text lang sa pangalan Annie, go San Juan, but do more please. Pero hindi ko alam kung parehong Annie siya. Salamat Mayor Vico, wag padadaig. Okay, that's exactly what we want to happen. Kasi if you're from a city and you think that your city executive is doing better than other cities nominated, please do your duty. Make your city proud. Recognize the work of your LGU. Nominate nyo and make sure that they're recognized and that they fight to win the first of our mobility awards. Narinig natin criteria, narinig natin kung bakit si Naz, they're doing what they're doing with CRP, si Jerry, the personal motivations that all mesh together from being a cyclist, but also being a woman, which should be second nature to being a Filipino, no? That we are all gender aware as deeply as we can to talk about the ranks and the awards, because the criteria was already mentioned. Let me turn over the mic to our good friend from 350, Chuck, all yours.
Thanks, Red. Thanks to the speakers kanina. Now we will go into ano nga ba yung awards that would be given sa mga nominated na establishments at institutions. Sige, let's see. Upon evaluation ng performance nila, no, meron tayong top 3 awardees for each category. And they will receive each one of the following titles based on the scores. Pag kunwari, yung highest rank niyan ay yung tinatawag na katipunan. It is the highest rank attainable. It can be won in 2 ways. No? Una is it can be won by reaching a score grade of 4.0 per year or achieving 3 consecutive gold awards. Ang susunod na rank naman yan ay yung gold rank, which is pag yung nominee gets 3.5 to 3.9 na score. Awardees who receive 2.5 to 3 will receive the silver rank. Awardees who receive 1 to 2 will receive the bronze rank. The Katipunan Award is actually siya yung yung highest rank attainable. It signifies truly transformational efforts initiated or adopted by a city, a workplace, or a commercial establishment in promoting bicycle commuting as a mainstream mode of transport. It is inspired by the revolutionary ideals of the Katipuneros in uniting Filipinos in securing genuine freedom and advancing social justice. It emulates yung rin kasi yung efforts at the same goals ng mobility awards. That is in the context of gaining independence from fossil fuels and promoting the mobility needs of the majority. That's something that I think is important to emphasize when we would be talking about the mobility awards. It is important to highlight how cycling is very much similar to the democratic exercise of nation building. Kasi pareho niya yung cycling at yung demokrasya na pareho silang people-powered. We always emphasize that the bicycle's engine is the person riding it. And the fuel of the rider is the resolve to reach yung destination. Likewise, democracy, pag titingnan din naman natin, ganun siya it is powered by citizens exercising their values, not only in the ballot box, but also in the choices they make when they purchase things in the market, in their participation in activities that they believe advances a common good. Yung democracy also extends when the market is responsive to the needs of citizens before their pursuit of profit. And most importantly, democracy is best expressed when governments recognize the power that their power only comes when they represent the best interests and aspirations of the citizens who elected them into power, to whom they are bound to represent under a social contract, so that yung gobyerno na yun really does become one that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. Cycling, like democracy, is also about freedom. Freedom of mobility, freedom to move, and freedom to reach our destinies. However, that is far from what we have now, because freedom is merely privilege extended unless it is extended to everyone. That is what 350 believes in. 350 believes in people power. 350 believes in the democratic process. And sa akin, no, on a personal note, yung learning to ride a bicycle is one of the most life-changing things for me, because it opened me up to the freedom from being confined sa traffic congestion, while integrating also yung practice na yun sa pag-pursue ng isang healthy na lifestyle, sa pag-contribute sa reduction ng air pollution. And it is my love for cycling that I have also been involved in the work that calls for motorists to share the road, as well as to promote the use of bicycles as an alternative form of transportation to minimize our dependence on fossil fuels, which is the work of 350, yung tinatawag na fossil-free. However, it is unfortunate that the current transport system still adheres to a preferential option for private vehicles. Since na-mention na kanina ng maraming speakers na 88% of Filipino household do not own cars. And pag tinignan natin sa context ng community quarantine, di ba, it has resulted in the surge of people using bicycles to move around Metro Manila amidst the reduced volume of public transportation available. And cycling is also an effective non-medical response to the immediate needs in this current crisis, while at the same time, it also has yung co-benefits ng building climate resilience and reducing carbon emissions. Kaya dapat we should prioritize yung 88% na ito who do not own cars and provide them with reliable, sustainable, and inclusive mobility programs by spurring people power through concerted actions among governments, the private sector, to make a bikeable Metro Manila through recognizing yung most bike-friendly cities, workplaces, yung commercial establishments within the metropolis. Ang key dito kasi is that leadership is crucial for creating a policy environment that would pave the way for long-term integration of inclusive mobility and sustainable transportation in the country. And to do so, government institutions, commercial establishments need incentives to realize this vision. And the Mobility Award is one form of incentive. It is a platform that recognizes acts of leadership. And we are given the chance as citizens to exercise our power to nominate, recognize, and demand leadership. And at the same time, celebrate freedom to travel, but also freedom from fossil fuel development. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. Very, very clear. So the awards are very clear, and we'll get back to that because I'm sure there will be questions. I just want to add, before I ask our next speakers, Golda, it's very important to say that the top 3 scorers for each category will be recognized as the winners. There is no standard order of winners. There is no standard order of winners, to repeat. The title or rank to be given to each awardee will depend on the score that they will receive. There's a lot to share. I think it's important to proceed. There will be a lot of announcements pa. Our next speaker, before we get to the Q&A, we'll have a lot more to share. Golda, you have the floor.
Salamat, Red. Magandang sunod kay Chuck, kasi the next question I think would be what's in it for the winners, So I think next pwede lang paki-show na slide. The top 3 bicycle-friendly LGUs, workplace at commercial establishment will receive bike recognition sign indicating their attained rank. If they got a grade of gold, so it's a gold sign, silver sign, and kung bronze sign. So ganun siya. Tapos on top of that, what makes the awards also unique is that it's not just they will be receiving, the employees, because we behind those establishments now winning or LGUs or workplace, they will receive gift vouchers, but those vouchers, what makes this mobility awards unique is that they are from your nominated bike-friendly stores. No? So, kaya may cash, may equivalent lang, no? For gold, it's 10,000, and for Katipunan awardees, it's 10,000, 8 for silver, and 5,000 for bronze. No? On top of yung kapag Katipunan awardee ka, you got as Chuck mentioned, you got a score of 4, no? Or Hall of Famer ka 3 years in a row, you're a gold winner for 3 years in a row, hindi ka nag-slip, no? You will receive on top of that the signages and such, no? A centerpiece trophy, which is designed by an artist whose name is Johnny Guarin. He's a volunteer of 350, but at the same time an artist behind the Alas women Alas paintings, no? So next so with that, no, I would like to take this opportunity. We would like to take this opportunity also to announce a special categories, no, and special awards, no. One would be the Padyak Power to the People Awards. No? The first would be one, the Padyak. I'll just, para short lang, no? Kasi medyo mahaba. Padyak aims to recognize, no, tireless efforts ng cyclist messengers and delivery riders. No? Hindi ito ino-nominate ng netizens, but you will help them win. No? Bakit sila i-recognize? Because they are your everyday heroes, no? During this pandemic, especially during these times. They are frontliners. And circumstances are quite difficult for them as well, because imagine, they have to contend with reckless motor vehicle drivers, no? And they also weather on top of traffic congestions, harsh elements, exposed ito, no? Air pollution, heat, rain, road hazards, and in fact, blaring horns. No? So just to deliver you, especially during this pandemic, your much needed medicines, much needed food, takeout, groceries, pabili, books, at iba pang parcels, no? Minsan telegrama pa, no? At minsan may pera pang padala na i-insert. So they are your essential workers essentially, no? And they deliver you goods, but also they do the extra miles. Kaya ko sinasabing heroic for cleaner air and inclusive cities. So with that, what we did is that minsan kasi tayo hindi natin naaalala sila. We reached out to cycling delivery companies to sought the opportunities of employing cyclists during these hard times. And with that, we thank the 4 companies who already signified, and some of them already sent their nominations. We thank Food Panda, Grab, Pajak Padala PH, and Gopher. What they did was send their top 5 cyclist nominees, and that we will be featuring them after October 22, including with their stories, and then to give a human face, no, kung sino sila, no, para naman din mapasalamatan natin lahat, no, na netizens. So your feedback, you can, once they're already posted, your feedback can help us, no, inform the nomination. So and also if you say like them, heart them once they are featured, no. So we can only name 3 top 10 as similar to LGU's tatlo lang din. So if we receive around 20 nominees from the 4, we can only name the top 3. So ngayon pa lang, hirap na kami kasi each one has a very compelling story. No? And the top will receive the 10,000 pesos cash ito, 8,000 pesos, and the third would be 5,000 pesos. No? On top of my Mobility Awards jersey and gifts, no, that are also donated by some of the supporters, no, and the right now it please I also encourage the companies, na, to also send their nominations, yung mga hindi pa nakapag-send, no, because as early as you can, no, so that we can allow the we can provide that space to allow na ma-send na ma-feature sila as early, and also feature your brand, no. So with that, that's the first. The second announcement would be the People's Choice Award, no. So People's Choice Award, this will open on October 23 and will close on October 27. So hindi lang kami panel of judges, but this is separate, no, from the gold silver rank. Hindi nito maano. Ang similar analogy this would be kung sa beauty contest ay People's Choice would be yung mga most likes, no, and such. But we will do it through poll, no, kasi netizen can only vote 3 times, kasi one for LGU, one for their favorite LGU, one for their favorite workplace, and one for their favorite commercial establishment. So as I said, this will not affect the judging, but the most number of voters win, and this will be held by a special poll that will be done via Mobility Awards Facebook page, no? So what's in it? The top 3, the People's Choice awardees, no, will receive 1,000 pesos on gift vouchers, no, from nominated bike-friendly establishments. Okay. The third special awards and this is for nominators and netizens, no. Some of you might ask, the Mobility Awards only rewards LGUs, workplaces, commercial establishments, and outstanding cyclists. But what's in it for me as well, no? Right from the start, our mantra in the Mobility Awards is that this is a challenge that everybody wins, and we would like you to win as well as netizens. So for netizens with the most numbers of nominations sent, no, sa www.mobilityawards.ph, no, or dyan sa bit.ly na nakalagay sa screen, you will be receiving gift vouchers, no, from nominated bike-friendly establishments, but we will announce this on October 29. Same goes for netizens, for more consistent and engaged followers on Facebook and mobility page, no. So if sundan nyo na every day kasi most likely magkakaroon kaya, no? So marami pang pakulo na coming, na. So the gift vouchers will have different cash establishment, and we will be arranging that you get the award from the bike-friendly commercial establishment who will be our partner in awarding you. So just also be prepared when you redeem it, magpa-picture ng maayos kasi photo op. And they will be sending it to us. So yeah, so in gist, no, so just to a call for ang call dito is nominate, like, show, and follow the Facebook page. No? So this is also our way of reviving the local economy by merely nominating, spreading the word of Mobility Awards, no, and staying engaged, no, online. So hindi lang one-off, dapat sinusundan, tinutulungan. No? So that's how we sustain the movement. Okay. Madali lang yung steps na nakalagay sa screen. 1, nominate. 2, like, follow, share the page and the Facebook post, Mobility Awards PH sa Facebook page. No? Vote on October 23 to 27, but do not forget to nominate the website, kasi mahaba, mobilityawards.ph, no? Or just go directly to the Google link, bit.ly, Mobility Awards. No? So yeah, just to end this, challenge your LGUs, bike-friendly establishments and workplaces to build an inclusive bike-friendly Metro Manila. We can do this together. Hindi kaya, uulitin ko mga sinabi kanina, hindi kaya ito ng government alone, tulong-tulong to, at lahat tayo kasama dito. Lahat tayo mananalo. Especially the 88% who do not have cars. Maraming salamat. Balik sa iyo, Red.
Thank you, Golda. Salamat, salamat, salamat. Okay, so before we go to our open forum, let me repeat some of the really, really important points. Sa lahat ng ating viewers, I think this is something that really bears repeating. It deserves repeating. First, 88%. Do not forget that number. 88%. That figure represents the portion of households, 88% of households in Metro Manila and Greater Metro Manila do not own their own cars, which means we need far more solutions than just cars, but more importantly, they represent the vast majority. Commuters, it's a question of democracy. So they should be first. Interest nila ang dapat mauna. And that is easier said than done. The second point na sinabi ni Golds, nahihirapan na ating pamahalaan. Natural, kasi malaki ang problema. Ano ang tugon natin? Tumulong din tayo. This awards is meant not only to engage government, but also to help government realize its ultimate goals, to provide active, inclusive mobility. We may have disagreements with this or that policy, but we will never disagree with attempts of citizens to move the country towards a pathway that we will all enjoy, especially our young people. Third point, it bears repeating again. Start pa lang po ito. Metro Manila, we can say, is a test, an experiment, because when we move to the national level, it will be even more complicated. Marami tayong pwede pang mabanggit, at lalo na sa national awards, hindi lingid sa kaalaman ng judges. Ang nag-iintay dyan, potentially lalampasan pa ang Metro Manila. Iloilo, Naga, Davao, Mandaue, Baguio, ang dami niyan. Manggigil po kayo. Sa ngayon, mag-umpisa muna tayo Metro Manila para may buwelo po ang lahat ng labas sa Metro Manila, because it will be your turn soon. Why? Third point, binanggit ni Golda. Naku po, ang dami-daming in store for everyone. Gift vouchers, raffle, awards, prizes, recognition from the very establishments that are actually going to win. So ano ibig sabihin nun? Food, masasarap na pagkain, at mahilig po tayong lahat mag-snacks. Mag-uwi ng ating mga food sa ating mga pamilya. Or in new language, marami tayong foods, mga kasama. Juice, coffee, and so on. Cookies, cakes, ang dami-dami. Gift vouchers, marami-rami. The more you nominate, the more chances, the higher your chance to actually win some of the raffles that will also benefit the business establishments that win, because we will patronize the business establishments that win, because that is the purpose. We want to increase the gloss, the value of the brands that are actually putting importance into the great majority of our population. Kung sa mga business establishments and workplaces and LGUs, mahalaga ang cycling commuters, award, ika nga natin, kailangan nila ng award, patronize them, and we will do everything we can to increase their business and to show everyone that the brand is good. But also, makikinabang din po ang mga nagno-nominate sapagkat this is for everyone. Especially yung binanggit ni Golda kanina sa Padjak Awards, Power to the People Padjak Awards. Yung mga nakakatanggap ng delivery na dineliver ng mga nagbisikleta delivery people, kikilalanin po natin sila sapagkat magaganda at guwapo sila at nais naming malaman, their family should know that they have really noble, really hardworking people in their households, and their community needs to know that they are recognized as well. Ang dami-dami po nating questions na pumapasok. So let me remind others before we open the floor to questions from our colleagues in media and our other colleagues. We still have a few weeks to go until the end of nominations on October 22. So please, only nominations po ito. Kung nag-enjoy tayo sa only rice, only nominations din po ito. Okay? So nominate as many as you can in the workplace category, in the business establishment category, and your favorite LGU if you think your LGU or another LGU deserves to win. Please continue to nominate your bike-friendly cities, workplaces, and commercial establishments. Again, you can nominate the nominees we've mentioned today. Kung tingin yung deserving, ulitin nyo po. Mag-nominate po kayo ulit. And we want to see more photos. And definitely we want to listen to your stories and experiences. Some of the nominations that came in, we won't say who. Please pay attention. Kulang po ang kanilang data. So some nominated, for instance, one business establishment. Pero yung retratong pinakita, medyo pangit, hindi convincing. Please make sure that if you want a particular business to win, take photos. If you patronize a particular cafe or restaurant, for instance, or a mall, kunan nyo retrato, i-post nyo at ipakita nyo kung bakit dapat sila manalo. If you belong to a workplace, or you have a friend or family member na kinaiingitan natin sapagkat their workplace has good management and they are providing services to cycling commuters in their workplace, make sure you take photos, make sure you share testimonies, make sure that everyone knows how proud you are of these workplaces. The slideshows have already shown, no? And we will flash them again later, and it will be on our Facebook, how you can nominate all of them. Just please don't forget, go to mobilityawards.ph or bit.ly/mobilityawards and submit your entries now. Guys, before we end today's discussion and go to the open forum, we would like to remind everyone again, this is just the first step. The inaugural round of the Mobility Awards may have the focus solely on cycling and Metro Manila, but we will expand it beyond cycling and certainly beyond Metro Manila in the very near future when we will hold awards nationwide. Our goal, prioritize the needs of the majority, and the majority, because we need to push for active, sustainable, inclusive mobility for everyone, not just cyclists, not just pedestrians, especially the differently abled who will require the same amount of attention and deserve the same quality of public service. All of them deserve our support. Marami pong salamat, and we are now opening the floor for questions. We have already received a few, as I said, and maybe we can ask our colleagues in media who would like to start. Is there anyone? I see here a couple of more entries. Ano? Parang breaking news din ito. Okay, the Dutch Embassy will be sharing in the gifts for all the winners. Aba, ano kaya yon? Sorpresa yon. Mag-nominate kayo para malaman nyo kung ano matatanggap nyo. Thank you very much to our colleagues from the Embassy of the Netherlands. They have always been strong partners. Here's another, okay? May nanonood po galing sa Amsterdam. Kevin Hirima. Hey, kamusta Kevin? Also, from our colleague from Business Mirror. The question is, can you please post the nominations again on the screen? I think Joseph Ramos will be asking some questions. LGUs daw muna siguro, Ira. But I also heard there's breaking news also. Naz, meron ka ba ibabalita?
Yes, nasabi ko kanina, Deb, that the private sector has role in cultivating biking culture in our country. We start in Metro Manila. Nalaman ko lang that San Miguel Corporation will loan 100 bikes to their employees.
Mm.
So aside from bike racks, mga installations of showers and mga lockers, isa rin po to sa nagpo-push for biking culture, yung provision of support for our employees. So for all San Miguel Corporation employees, nominate nyo po ang workplace nyo.
Okay, huwag niyong kalimutan po, employees of San Miguel Corporation, SMC, hindi po SMB. SMC. Please
SMC.
nominate SMC if you think this is a worthy move, including management. Kung tingin yung tama yung ginawa ninyo, make sure that San Miguel Corporation is nominated sa workplace category po, hindi sa business establishment. Okay, workplace po, because they are, I think, trying to improve the status of their staff who are commuting, especially those who want to or need the option of cycling to commute to their workplace. Nominate nyo po. Ang question ko rin po sa ibang companies, if you think you're doing better than SMC, huwag kayong magpapatalo. Pakita nyo na daig nyo. No? Because this is a race to the top. Everyone gains. There's a question, okay? There's a question here I'll be reading out, but just to be sure, after I read out the question and maybe someone from the panel can answer, request po ni Joseph Ramos from Business Mirror to also flash the nominations on the screen again. And of course, we'll send each of our press guests all the slideshows that we've shown already para meron din po kayong kopya. One question, what is your response? What is the response of the judges to this current debate on helmets? Helmets, takip sa ulo, protection. Anong tingin natin dito, judges? Anyone want to answer?
Red, if I could,
Aldrin,
if I could answer the question first, sumulat na tayo sa Quezon City government with regard to this particular issue last week. It's a really sensitive, and in fact, I will not sugarcoat it, but it's a really polarizing issue even within the cycling community. But as we have written in our letter to the Quezon City government, we strongly believe that the safety of people who bike will be best advanced through coordinated improvements to our streets and particularly lowering speeds of motor vehicles rather than regulations gaya ng mandatory helmet use that could really be opening to discretionary and discriminatory enforcement. So while within our community of cyclists, everyday cyclists, we recommend wearing of helmets, I think we're losing out on the bigger picture, which is to make our streets much safer and more inclusive to everyone.
Bakit ba hindi nagre-require ng helmet sa mga nagkokotse?
Good question.
Diba? Ako nga naisip ko, Aldrin, it took a while, but eventually they agreed to put seatbelts, to make seatbelts mandatory inside cars to protect the motorists and the passengers. But to protect those that are outside the car, it's not putting on armor is not the main solution, is what I gather from you.
Yes, yes,
It's
exactly.
address the danger.
Actually, Red, if I could connect it to the very good uh, explanation kanina ni Chuck about democracy and values, kami sa Manila Moves as a community, yun yung basic namin, fundamental belief namin that, it's about setting our values and our vision. And our vision is to get more people riding on bikes and walking as transport. And ma-attain natin or ma-reach natin yung vision na yun if we will change the way we set our values, ano ba yung mahalaga sa atin, and depending on those values that we set for ourselves, how does government, for example, do their work? We know for a fact that MMDA and DPWH, when they create their programs and activities, they count motor vehicles as their primary indicator of performance measurement. So, yun ang matagal na nating sinasabi sa kanila. It's time for them to count people who choose not to move inside the motor vehicle, but outside of it, people who walk, pedestrians, and people who cycle. Especially now, amid the pandemic, that because of public health concern, which is really valid naman, public transport operations has been limited. And so people have shifted to walking and cycling. And what does government do about it? But with regard to that point, we also want to recognize their efforts. We know for a fact that in the recently signed law, yung Bayanihan Act 2, we recognize that government has put in specific provisions for them to provide necessary infrastructure for cycling. And we want to recognize that. And the different government agencies came up with this joint admin order signed in August, mandating each agency, particularly DPWH, DOH, DILG, to start building cycling infrastructures. But we want to see more, especially in the area of public participation. We want them to ask people who cycle and people who walk, ano ba yung input natin sa mga pinaplano nilang programa at infrastruktura. And this Mobility Awards platform serves as a very good jumping point for everyone, for the public, to tell their government, their business leaders, what exactly we need to be able to make that transport choice of cycling as much as safe for everyone.
Salamat. Thank you, Aldrin. Actually, that brings me to another question that came up. The question was, what do the panel judges think of the Bayanihan law? There have been several iterations. And other national policies so far on cycling. Are they enough? Sapat na ba? And another question is, are they going in the right direction? Any takers?
Red, actually, dudutuan ko lang yung nauna ko nang nabanggit. We recognize yung effort ng government ngayon to really normalize cycling and active transport. Specifically, if I could read yung Bayanihan Law on Section 4, binabanggit dito na because of the limited public transport operations, they want to build necessary infrastructure to support cycling. Particularly, they say that they will build emergency pathways, LGU bicycling, bike sharing programs, and provide proper safety equipments. So clearly, they are going towards the direction of introducing bike share schemes. Ito yung they will procure bicycles, put it on specific locations so people can get on a bike and get to their next destination and leave the bike there. Bike share programs are meron namang evidences of its contribution towards getting more people on bike. But apart from bike share schemes, we really want them to build protected bike lanes now. 6 months into our quarantine period, they should have built protected bike lanes back in March, even before the pandemic. Yun yung sinasabi natin sa kanila. But we want to see more money earmarked towards building protected bike lanes. Hindi lang kung saan merong libreng spasyo. They need to reallocate road space for motor vehicles for for bikes, for people walking. Yun ang gusto natin sabihin na hopefully the Bayanihan law can pick off.
Aldrin, thank you very much. I have another question for, this one is really going to go to the heart of what Jerry had said earlier. There's a question which I think is important for the viewers to understand, very, very important. The question is, it centers around this notion na bitin. There's one way of looking at it. Bakit Metro Manila lang? We've already answered. Test muna siya, mag-guinea-pig muna tayo, and then we go national because that is the real more important lens. But there's another question that says, talaga bang cycling lang? Cycling, what about those who cannot cycle or have different abilities? Jerry, you talked a little bit about this. What's been your experience so far?
Yeah, thank you, Sir Red. Actually, just the other day, I was telling the team na if you go to Pinay Bike Commuter page now, meron akong pinost doon na a picture of an elder woman in a mobility vehicle, electric bike yata siya. Tapos sa likod niya, napakalaking sign na she's a PWD. And then, you know, sorry?
What does PWD mean?
Persons with disability.
Okay.
Tapos po, you know, I said like, wow, yeah, I was really happy. And then to see her there in the middle, together with the motorcycles and all the cars because we're waiting for the green light. However, nalungkot ako and nabother ako kasi nung nag-go na, a lot of our motorists, yung motorsiklo tsaka mga sasakyan, binusinahan siya ng binusinahan. So sabi ko, napaisip talaga ako that, you know, and I'm also I would like to reach out to everyone, especially sa government. Yung hinihingi po namin protected bike lanes, hindi lang po talaga siklista makikinabang doon, kundi kabataan, PWDs, and elders na gustong magbisikleta, gustong makapunta sa mga lugar in a very safe way. Kasi honestly, hindi pa talaga ganun kadisiplinado lahat ng tao. And yung respect na binibigay natin sa kapwa users ng kalsada, mga pedestrians and cyclists, hindi pa natin ganun talaga na-achieve. So, whenever you hear us fight for protected bike lanes, if I may say high quality protected bike lanes, it's not really for us only, but it's also for the other vulnerable groups in our society. And hindi lang po tayo ang may karapatan na ma-experience ang sunlight sa ating muka or hangin, kundi yung mga tao rin na na-stuck na sa bahay because hindi nila kayang lumabas because our infra is very bad and they just choose to stay at home. You know, can you imagine our streets, our caregivers ng mga PWD, they will be able to go out with their, yung mga inaalagaan nila, to be able to go out and you know, just go to the parks and all. Hindi nangyayari pa yun eh. So we really need that protected bike lanes and I hope you really support us on this. Yeah. Thank you, Sir Ted.
Thank you, Jerry. May isa pang question palagi ko, babalik kay Aldrin ito. Bakit daw, why not give out discipline awards? Kasi there's this line going around that the cyclists are just as bad in discipline as the pedestrians. Disiplina raw bago mag-bike lanes. What's your take on this, Aldrin?
Red, it's not even about cyclists, you know. It's really about everyone who uses our roads, every road user. We tend to behave based on the design ng ating mga kalsada. And that's why it's really, we're really pushing government to design and build our roads to dictate certain behavior that will be safe for everyone who uses the roads. Hindi lang siklista, hindi lang pedestrian, more so sa mga motorista. Because when you drive a 1,000 kilo metal box, you know, I mean, science already says a lot about it that mas mataas yung risk and the hazard that motor vehicle poses to everyone outside of it, you know, when they travel on a bicycle or on foot. And so it's not really about discipline or behavior. It's really about the design. Make our streets much safer in terms of design. Then you will expect people to behave and share the road more amicably and really equitably. Yun yung pinupunto natin.
Thanks, Alvin. Here's another question. Maybe Golda, you can answer this. You're trying to promote cycling, bicycle commuting. Are you trying to drive bus operators and jeepney operators out of business? Kalaban ba kayo?
No, Red. Hindi. In fact, this is cycling is very complementary to improvements of the public, to government's drive to improve public transport system. No? We can nabanggit kanina about there are even the Department of Transportation in Bayanihan too, as Aldrin said. Nakalagay yung bike sharing, and at the same time one manifestation that they in fact did in Bayanihan 1 was to set up bike racks and storage sa LRT stations, mainly because ang logic at ang ano doon is that it is built na public transport system and cycling and pedestrian are complementary system. So it's also a recognition that the public transport fleet ay hindi niya kaya yung routes na end of the trip, like for example, Esquinitas, no? That cycling and walking can feel, no? So yon, and in fact for ICSC may parallel support na ginagawa, which is initiative which is we are studying the service contracting as parallel na in-identified then that the Department of Transportation and the government also identified as part of Bayanihan too. So I think with that they are complementary, and we have seen also cases and examples in other countries that are that they see cycling as very complementary to public transport system. So wala tayong dinidisplay sa public transport system. In fact, it will help them kasi a lot of at the end of the day drivers, bus drivers and jeepney drivers, after nakaparada, magbibisikleta din yan pa uwi. So I think that in itself speaks.
Red, Red, okay lang? Sundan ko yung sinabi ni Golda at saka ni Adrian related doon sa yung bicycle being complementary public transport sa ating current system, at the same time yung issue ng disiplina for bikers. So we welcome the strong support of legislators in this case, yung mga initiatives ng national government for safe bike lane programs. So okay lang ba mag-mention ako ng ating mga bold leaders pagdating sa mga programang ito? We have Marinduque Rep. Lord Alan Velasco, and doon sa bisikleta para sa kinabukasan, where there is a specific provision on educational program and information dissemination, which is very important. Inclusion of bike lane program in as we all know, the Better Normal Bill ni House Deputy Speaker Lauren Legarda. And i-flex ko lang din na isa siyang Pinoy climate reality leader. Tapos sa Senado naman, efforts ni Senator Pia Cayetano on Safe Pathways Act, and also yung support ni Senators Francis Tolentino at Ralph Recto. We would like to emphasize that in any national policy, ang success nito ay attributed also doon sa diskurso na kasama ang lahat. Yung tinatawag nating whole of nation initiative. This is what we want in a democratic country, more people joining in the debate. This is also all new to us, and it's a big challenge. Kaya more minds, different voices para mapag-usapan pa ng husto kung ano yung best para sa 88% That is why this is the same spirit that we bring in the Mobility Awards. The public is given the platform to debate the most bike-friendly local uh, government units, workplaces, and commercial establishments. And we believe ito yung space natin with our government leaders because I know they appreciate the boost that this platform brings. So yan.
Naz, maraming salamat. Very quickly, bato ko lang uli ito kay Jerry. Abdul Borio Rojero, no, asked the question, can we provide health and safety IEC, information, education, communication materials for ordinary Filipino workers using bikes in order to reach their workplaces daily? Habang nagsasalita kanina si Golda, naririnig ko na may naglalagari, nagapukpok sa tabi-tabi mo. Construction workers are increasingly using their bikes. Nagbibisikleta sila. At kailangan din nila ng options, information para protektado sila. Of course, sabi ni Aldrin, ang first step niyan, the right design in order to influence habits. But on IEC materials and so on, is there any page that you recommend? Hint, hint, for instance, Manila Moves and Pinay Bike community Facebook pages?
Well, marami po tayong IEC materials, honestly. Even DOH, DepEd, I think naglabas sila niyan eh. Yung kanilang AO sa kanilang page. Yeah, Sir Red, hindi lahat nasa social media. And kailangan talaga natin ma-reach yung mga tao na nawala sa social media. So importante. Pero with regards to IEC, I don't think we have like an ultimate standard for the rest. I mean, Manila Moves team, we are very open to sila Aldrin, nauna na sila nag-conduct na sila sa TMC, sa AXA, yung mga basics of bike commuting. So, if they are open to that, so, you can just write to Manila Moves about it. And yun, marami rin actually ang gustong mabigyan ng education yung ating mga siklista kasi it's not only about the basics of bike commuting pero pati na rin yung mga tips. Yun ang pinaka-importante sa lahat. Yeah, siguro Aldrin, would you like to share more?
Thank you, Jerry, sa pagpa-plug. It's an ongoing project actually of the group with support from friends from cycling community. We're writing a manual of safe urban cycling in particular. And gaya na sabi ni Jerry, we have run it sa the Medical City and also sa AXA Philippines. And there are a couple of organizations, businesses that have approached us and asked kung pwede ring itakbo yung workshop na yun sa kanila. But with regards sa mga ordinary workers, mga kasama natin na mga Shimano at Shimanang, we are writing a particular manual for them and we want to work with the Department of Labor and Employment kung paano ma-roll out yun para maipamahagi. And also working with local government units in particular sa mga barangay level na maipamahagi yung manual na yun and some basic tips on how to safely ride a bike.
Thank you, Aldrin. May message nga dito. Nakakatawa from Papa Francis. Dapat daw may bahali na awards. Hindi pwede yon sa ibang awards na yon. No? Tanungin ko sana si Chuck and I hope you can jump straight in, Naz, as well. Look, there's a question, but I ask you to elaborate a little bit more. One question is, not everyone knows how to cycle, or maybe even in the panel. Should we be interested if you're not a cyclist in these awards or in active mobility? And, very active ang dalawang grupo nyo outside of these awards. No? Climate Reality has 24 Hours of Reality coming soon. But let me ask Chuck first. What else is 350 up to when it comes to climate and energy action and mobility?
Well, Red, yung 350 kasi ang primary work that it's doing now in the region is One, representing yung voices ng climate vulnerable and the frontline communities that are resisting fossil fuel infrastructure that not only pollutes yung ecosystems and yung health ng mga communities, but also adds to yung accumulation ng greenhouse gas emissions, primarily carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. Kaya yan yung name ng 350. 350.org comes from the name na sinasabi ng science as the safe number daw ng carbon dioxide lang sa ating atmosphere to allow life to thrive in its diversity, which is 350 parts per million. We are also working on the regional level to secure public and public finance institutions that they would shift financial flows away from investing in fossil fuels, but also investing in low carbon development dahil it measures up as a good investment in the long term. And among that is actually yung revising yung transportation system natin, because majority of carbon emissions come from energy but also from transport that is very much dependent on fossil fuels like oil and gas. Yung sa question mo rin, yung not all ay cyclist naman, or not everyone has hindi ba parang siya, di ba? Parang a question din siya ng personal na integrity towards standing up sa issue na ito. I believe everyone has a stake sa pag-pursue ng inclusive na mobility. And they should be interested in mechanisms that actually involve participation, like the mobility awards. Naalala ko dito lagi yung yung isa sa mga chant pag nagmamarcha sa rally, di ba? Yung tanong nila, whose streets? Our streets. And recognizing that the streets are for everyone means that we are all stakeholders sa usapin na ito. And ang gusto naman natin dito kasi is for people to recognize na hindi sila lang ang may-ari ng kalsada, kundi pag-aari natin itong lahat. Kaya dapat matuto tayo mag-share. And to be able to share, we must recognize that there are different players, and that different players must work together to make the streets safer, cleaner, and also something that is for the good of everyone. So yun siguro yung maisasagot ko sa tanong na yun. Thank you.
Chuck, salamat. Naz.
Okay, sunod na ako, Sir Red.
Parating na tayo sa Kuya Germs moment. Meron daw kayong 24 hours of reality. Wala tugan. Ano ba yan?
Sige, bago yung 24 hours, magbigay muna ako ng teaser kung gaano ka-diverse ang community ng Climate Reality Project Philippines.
Proceed.
So, sinasabi ko na with me are 1,234, 1,234 Pinoy Climate Reality leaders. Yes. So, mabanggit ko lang. Apat itong mababanggit ko, pero I know there are more. Kasama ko silang sa panel of judges. They will be representing us. We will be representing the Climate Reality Project Philippines. So si Len Hamandores, isang urban and environmental planner at engineer. Pero isa sa advokasya niya ang active mobility. So together with various organizations, Len helps out visualizing plans for local government units in adopting bike-friendly policies and infrastructure. Isa si Romel Miles Coro, co-founder of Lunti Ang Pabahay, a mass housing group advocating green building technology, and a former lecturer in theology and philosophy, pero cyclist din, a member of Team Triabetics, yung mga triathletes na diabetics. Pero nagsimula siya bike touring in the country. So yung iba na interesado paano magbisikleta, I think this is one area na pwede nilang sabayan, ikutin ang Pilipinas, makita yung mga tourist spots natin by biking. Tapos isa pa si Bea Dolores, isang urban designer din, bata. Bea is a bike ambassador. At her young age, active na siya sa Philippine Heritage Group called Renacimiento Manila. So, pinaghalo niya, being a bike ambassador at member nitong Renacimiento Manila, she promotes bike tourism sa Intramuros. Tapos, another is Paulo Buro, Director for Strategic Partnership Relations for the Asian Research Institute for Environmental Law. So, nandun siya sa side na yon, but Paulo heads the Bayanihan sa Daan. an organization working to bring communities together to make roads safer, cleaner, sabi nga ni Chuck, and more reliable way to travel. He also consults for MMDA. So, apat pa lang to sa 1,234 Pinoy climate reality leaders. I would just like to share personally bakit I think some of us are hesitant to bike. Either kunyari pupunta sa malls, run or errands, or even sa workplace natin. I personally, my fear is hindi ready, hindi safe yung infrastructure. But given that through our work, nag-move na or na-inspire na yung local government. I am from Las Piñas. And as you can see in the list, hindi pa nominated ang Las Piñas. So mga mga taga Las Piñas, I hope we could call on our local government units para makita and be inspired kung ano ginagawa ng ibang local leaders. So I, for one, if given an option and being provided with that safe opportunity and infrastructure, I think magbabako kasi I do own a bike. At 7 years old, I already know how to bike. So yun lang, yun ang malaking hindrance sa akin. It's a safe infrastructure that cannot be provided currently by our local government leaders in my area. Tapos, yun na, ma-promote ko na, 24 hours of reality, countdown to the future. So this will be on 11 to 12, starting 5 a.m. in the morning. Pero sa Pilipinas, dahil mga Pilipino, sobrang energy pag pinag-uusapan ng climate change. Magiging 48 hours sa Pilipinas. Yan, salamat. Yan po. So, klimatotohanan. So, the truth about climate change. So, yan po, join us on our Facebook page, the Climate Reality Project Philippines. So, nakalagay dyan 24 hours, but 48 hours po ang gagawin ng mga Pilipino. Kasama po dyan, pag-uusapan po natin yan. Ito ang pag-uusapan din po on 12 October, ang Mobility Awards. At the same time, ano ang ginagawa ng ibang organization towards this Sustainable Urban Mobility Campaign. So, yon, samahan niyo po kami. And i-plug ko na rin, ang kick-off event po nito, magsisimula po bukas via isang bike ride na pangungunahan po ni Climate Reality Leader Romel Coro. So ipopost po namin sa aming Facebook page yung bike route. Kung kayo po ay taga Las Piñas, taga South, Las Piñas, Muntinlupa, sama na natin ang Cavite, Sir Red. Sumama po kayo sa bike ride. So details will be available po sa Facebook page ng The Climate Reality Project Philippines. So salamat!
Naz, ulit, bike ride, lahat may gusto. Tapos may distancing ba yan? Safe ba yan?
Yes, definitely. Hindi tayo nagbama sa bike ride. So, kung ipopost po namin yung bike route, kung kayo po ay nagkataon na nasa area sa gantong oras, sumama po kayo. But definitely, we will observe po proper social distancing.
Okay. Pag hindi ako climate reality leader o hindi ako member ng climate reality, pwede ba ako sumama?
Yes, pwede po. Ang aming goal po, ang aming target audience nga po ay lahat po ng public, lahat po ng individuals na naniniwala na ang climate change ay totoo. Kaya po, klimatotohanan. So, inaaniyahan po namin lahat.
Salamat, Naz. Salamat, Naz. Okay. Hindi niyo po kasi if you were paying attention, maraming binanggit kanina. I think one of the most important points na diniin ni Jerry at saka ni Aldrin, many of us who are on Facebook or regularly online are able to see only those that we see on social media. The bigger part of activities and life is actually happening outside of social media. Hindi natin nakikita. Marami nangyayari. So, in the bike counts that the MMDA is trying to put together, DOTR, yung mga epekto na positive on those who are not on social media but who do benefit most from cycling, these are the people that really matter. Kanina binanggit natin yung mga manggagawa na nasa construction, yung mga kawani na pumupunta sa malls or workplaces, they don't have the time or luxury, or maybe they're not as connected and online, but they represent the majority. Kaya yung ginagawa natin, kinakailangan tulong-tulong because even the awards is limited to those who are able to see or go online. Of course, as we said earlier, this is only a start. If you haven't nominated yet, do so now, including being ready to vote when the voting time is on us. Bakit? Very simple po. Inaasahan po ng lahat ng panel of judges, ng lahat ng participating organizations, that this is probably going to be the easiest year and easiest contest so far. Because in every year that takes place, parami ng parami ang establishments at mas titindi ang competition. The ones that you see now are the brave first front line of the mobility revolution, and they will bring in more. Hindi po magpapatalo ang cycling and active mobility advocates sa restrictions ng ating current reality. We will change reality because we can do this together. So in the first awards, nominate na so that you can be ready when it's time for the national awards. So don't forget, nominate, 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 supply photos, supply testimonies, supply more stories. Here's one question. Binabato ko to sa lahat ng panel. I'm not sure who wants to answer first, but it's very interesting. A question from a viewer. What if it turns out that Mitsubishi or Toyota Motors or Petron or Shell have superior bicycle commute arrangements for their employees? Would you still give them an award? Hindi ba greenwash yun? Interesting question. Anyone? Natigil sila.
Can I answer, Red? Sorry.
Yes,
I
the phone,
just
but
have
the
to.
question.
May nag-call na. So sorry. Yes, the mobility awards will recognize them. Because it speaks a lot that the companies are responding to the needs of the 88% of their employees who may not have cars. And it's essentially they're one with us in pushing for a more inclusive transport system, which is, I think, the gist of all this. The gist of all these initiatives and the gist of all those efforts by cyclists, by the government, by the private sector, and by essentially by the citizens and by individuals. So, yeah.
Salamat, Golds. Anyone who wants to jump in? There are more questions here.
Yes, sa akin I would look at it in a way na if they are able to implement those policies in the context of inclusive mobility, what is keeping them from also responding to the demand for greater emissions reductions? Diba? It is something that advocates can build on. And we should exhaust every platform where we can engage in dialogue, where we can engage in securing tangible na gains. So why not recognize efforts that are being made, but recognizing that more needs to be done?
Very good. Okay, that was very articulate. Here's another question. Okay. Bicycles use so much toxic materials in their paint, metals, plastics, rubber. Don't you think you're promoting more mining and more plastics and being part of the problem? Allah. Anyone?
Sige, ako na, Red.
Yes.
Oo,
Una.
kasi maraming climate reality leaders. Ito rin ang concern, di ba? So, as we all know, next to walking, cycling is still the most resource efficient and bicycle friendly mode of transport. Within the cycling manufacturing industry, meron na namang mga innovations dyan. We could use less toxic paints, upcycled plastics and metals. And nasabi ko kanina, di ba, yung bambike, di naman sa nagpo-promote tayo, pero I mean, rich ang Pilipinas sa resources ng bamboos. So let's also promote that. Studies have already shown that, in fact, the greenhouse gas and savings potential of enabling bicycle and pedestrian-friendly cities can be deemed no regrets strategies in addressing the climate crisis. So, yun ang take namin dyan.
Thank you. Maraming.
Red, if I
Oh,
could.
Alvin, please.
I'll just add something, and this is actually not to promote this particular company, but also to recognize their efforts, because locally, Turn Bicycles in particular have been really supportive of our advocacy, and apart from making really good bikes, yung mga folding bikes ng Turn, we also love Turn because they're really into sustainable production. And so sa kanila, they do manufacturing right. They create, yes, a lot of materials, but they also look into environmentally friendly options. And in fact, hindi lahat ng lumalabas sa kanila mga planta goes into waste. They actually also sell like yung mga bottle openers from yung mga pinagtabasan ng mga parts ng kanilang mga bisikleta. So these are really good efforts that I hope in a more wider industry context, I'm sure bike companies are now exploring options to become more sustainable in that regard.
Aldrin, thank you very much. No, if you were paying attention, dear viewers, to the answers, none of them contradict one another. You have to take all those responses together. In fact, kulang lagi ang sagot kasi maraming angulo dun sa mga sa tanong na kung paano masasagot sila. For instance, the work of our colleagues sa Life Cycles community, sila Keisha, no? By giving away bikes to the frontliners very early in the lockdown, they actually not only help provide mobility, but also ensured that those people will not require more cars on the road. And I think all those efforts also come together, because if you want to start compiling all the bad stuff that's happening, I'm pretty sure the bicycles have a far less footprint than motor vehicles, cars, SUVs, airplanes. And of course, tapat na ba yun? No way. But it's a long process. As Aldrin said, every little thing counts. You also have BAM bikes. You also have a number of initiatives, not just in complete bicycles, as far as if I understood it right. Different parts are undertaking different R&D to improve the efficiency and to lower the need for more resources. We have a few minutes to go. So I also want to ask a couple of questions very briefly. There's one that says, refers to the judging criteria, no? Promote gender inclusion and sensitivity among commuters, protect women cyclists from catcalling and harassment. Jerry, can you tell us a little bit more why and how we can better protect women cyclists? Dagdagan ko, revise ko yung question. How can we better encourage women also, in addition, to cycle to work?
Yeah. As a woman, or if you're a mother or grandmother, or if you're a caregiver or a guardian, napakalaki ng responsibilidad parati ng isang kababaihan sa bahay, sa workplace. And time is very, very important. That's why, we really would like to promote the use of cycling. Kasi as per World Bicycle Relief, yung INGO globally, sinabi niya dito, compared to walking, bicycles increase carrying capacity by 5 times, and the distance traveled by 4 times greater thereby significantly decreasing the time it takes to get to and from the schools, the clinics, or the markets. So, ako as a nanay, napaka-importante sa akin ang oras. That's why, kaya rin ako nagbibisikleta kasi wala kaming kasambahay sa bahay. I have 2 boys with me. And yung husband ko kasi may work din siya by the end of the day. So whenever he calls me and would tell me na parang, Jerry, paalis na ako, pauwi ka na ba? So meron lang kaming 30 minutes kasi yung pauwi ko 30 minutes lang via bicycle. So yung 30 minutes na yun, medyo hindi siya ganong kalaking oras para maiwanan namin yung mga anak namin na mag-isa sa bahay. So nagagawa ko yung nagagawa ko, nakakatipid ako sa oras. And honestly, as a woman, marami tayong iniisip, alam nyo yan. So, pag nagbibisikleta ka, medyo nagkakaroon ng clarity. Medyo nagkakaroon ng, pag pauwi ka, maraming reflections ang naiisip mo, marami kang naaalala. Pag pumapasok ako sa opisina, napaka-alert ng aking pag-iisip dahil nga siguro dun sa adrenaline na yon. So, it's really important that we really encourage more women to bike. Kasi it's also their me time in a way. Mag-isa lang kami sa daan. That's why, sabi ko nga, minsan, kung naiisip namin na mag-isa lang kami sa daan, nagko-commute, kaya ako rin tinayo yung community. It's because ayoko rin maisip nila na talagang nag-iisa lang sila. Meron silang mapapaghingahan ng saloobin nila or makakapagbigay ng advices nila to fellow women. So, and marami kaming may issue on harassment. And it's a place also to say that, I have been harassed, and then women will just come together and support each other and help one another to report or to encourage that person and to be able for that woman to bike again the next day. So, it's really, really, really important that we allow women to be able to access bicycle kasi marami talaga siyang benefits, hindi lang health, napakadami, mentally, emotionally, physically, everything. Yeah.
Okay, Jerry, thank you. We have very few minutes left. I have 2 questions, okay? My first question is for the other panelists, and I will give you a few minutes, very short, kasi I'll ask Golda the next question, which provides you 1 minute or 2 minutes to think of your answer to my question, okay? So Golda, wag masyado matagal para mapahirapan natin ang mga kasama natin panelists at hindi sila masyado mapag-isipan kung ano sasabihin nila. So my question to Naz, Chuck, Jerry, and Aldrin, don't answer right away or answer after Golda. I'll ask you. Nakita nyo na nag-post tayo initially nitong mga na-nominate. Ang question ko sa inyo ay, sino pa ang dapat sa tingin nyong nino-nominate na hindi pa nano-nominate? Habang kasama natin ang mga kaibigan natin sa media, and I hope we ask for their help if they can reach out to the places that are mentioned, but also to those who haven't been nominated, which might mention. Sino pa kaya dapat? Don't answer yet. Golda muna, the question. Golds, may transport crisis tayo ngayon. We are in the middle of a transport crisis. And to answer very briefly, my question is, was this transport crisis caused by the lockdown? Or has been our condition even before the pandemic? Golds, sagot.
Red, to answer the question, not by the lockdown. There is a crisis. The lockdown, the pandemic just provided and magnified it and exposed it of what's the problem.
Thank you very much. Yan ang gusto ko, pinahirapan mo, wala masyadong oras yung mga kasama natin. So, Chuck, sino pa dapat ma-nominate na hindi pa na-nominate?
Actually, wala pa ako nakikita doon na office ng NGO.
Okay.
Pero marami.
Marami ba na friendly?
Marami akong kilala. Yung iba nga lang na-nominate baka ma-disqualify kasi kasama sa organize.
Hindi pwede yung kasama sa organizer, of course.
But I know of a couple of organizations that actually provide provisions for ano ba tawag dito, yung sa kailangan para sa mobility awards sa mga cyclist na empleyado. Halimbawa, sa akin ang isang nakita kong ano niyan, yung Office ng Center for Environmental Concerns actually, majority ng staff nila nasa nagbabike.
Pero wala pang nagno-nominate.
Wala pang nagno-nominate.
Ay, mga CEC colleagues, bakit kayo nagpapahuli? Okay, shout out sa inyo. Please, sayang ang efforts. Let yourself be nominated and make sure that you're in the running. Nazrin.
Susunod ko yung sinabi ni Chuck, government offices.
Okay.
Simula pa lang ng usapan on sustainable urban mobility, challenge na natin. Unang-una, Climate Change Commission.
Okay.
Right after our episode, alam ko meron na silang bike loan programs para sa mga empleyado. So, pero wala pa nag-nominate.
All right. Pag sinabing workplace establishments, it can be government, it can be private sector, it can be academe, no? Workplace. It doesn't need a particular sector. So, CCC colleagues, Climate Change Commission, hala, meron pala kayong ginagawang maganda. Bakit wala nagno-nominate sa inyo? Jerry! Sino?
Yes. No, actually, hindi ako makapag-nominate kasi syempre judge ako. Pero I work for, if I may say this na, I work for the United Nations and they have been very supportive as well because we do have shower facilities. But I think right now in the UN house, I'm the only female biker who bikes. But I will definitely tap the rest of my colleagues who are biking, the male colleagues. So I would really encourage them to promote and nominate. Siguro ano rin, Sir Red, yung building namin kung nasaan ang UN House, yung RBC Sheridan, just very recently they removed na the bike parking fee. Dati nagbabayad ako ng 30 pesos per day at pumipila ako kasama ng sasakyan. Pero ngayon po tinanggal nila for employees. You just need to show an ID. So
RCBC Sheridan, you mean?
RBC Sheridan, katapat
Rockwell Land.
Yep. Rockwell
Okay.
Business Center Sheridan sa may United Streets po.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out Rockwell Business Center Sheridan.
Yes, and
You're doing good things. The judges will not nominate you. Do not expect that. Hindi kayo ino-nominate. Pero kung nakikinig kayo o yung mga nag-opisina doon o nagsusuporta sa inyo, please do your job. Make sure
yes.
Sheridan RBC is recognized.
And Sir Red, last but not the least, ito talaga for the past 3 years na nagsimula ako ng bike commuting, I'm very much thankful of RCBC Plaza Makati. Their bike parking is free. Napakadaming nagpa-park dyan. Kahit hindi tenants, they welcome them. Kasi nasa center siya ng Makati. And I really do hope, please, i-nominate niyo po RCBC Plaza Makati because napakabait nila sa mga bikers. May one time dyan na nag-field travel ako, iniwan ko yung bike ko ng 1 week. Nandiyan pa rin. Buhay pa rin siya.
Very good.
Yan. RCBC po.
Jerry, maraming salamat. So RCBC Plaza, okay? Pag hindi kayo na-nominate batay sa paliwanag ni Jerry, tamang gamit ng salitang Sus Mariosep. Okay? Please, make sure somebody nominates them. The judges won't. They already explained the scoring system, the criteria. They will evaluate this as objectively as they can. Hindi po ako kasama dyan sa judges. And so the 5 will evaluate everything properly. Hindi kayo ma-evaluate pag walang nag-nominate sa inyo. At maalala kayo sa sinabi ko, tamang gamit na Sus Mariosep. Sayang naman. Aldrin, overtime na tayo pero mabilis lang. Sino ang wala dyan na dapat may nagno-nominate?
Unang-una na mga pharmacies, Mercury Drug Store. Hindi naman lahat ng branches meron, pero meron akong top 5 na Mercury Drug Store branches na
Ayan.
gustong gusto ko dahil maganda yung bike rack nila, malapit sa pintuan, kita ng security personnel. It all tick the boxes for me. And also, hopefully, more government centers.
Saang branches ng Mercury yan?
Dito sa Pasig, si Raimundo Mercedes branch. And also sa Tiendesitas. Yeah.
Okay. So yung office managers dyan at yung mga tumatangkilik na customers, please, bigyan nyo ng karangalan ang mga branch ng Mercury na yan. Hindi ito endorsement ng Mercury as a company kasi merong branches na mas mahusay sa iba at yun lang ang kinikilala natin. Aldrin, meron ka pa yata idadagdag?
Mga bangko, RCBC, mostly sa Pasig din kasi dahil because I'm from Pasig. So I know RCBC, Sirimundo, but also Metrobank, Shaw Boulevard, corner, Escriva. May bike racks, kaya very commendable.
Okay. Hindi rin natin nabanggit yung bagay na yan. Pwedeng magbingo na ang workplace na nanalo at yung business establishment na nanalo ay nandun sa loob ng LGU na nanalo. That is always a possibility. Bingo yon, pero nasa gitna pa lang tayo. So salamat sa mga binanggit. Salamat sa ating panel of judges. I think this was a very good update to everyone. The update is meant to tell you, the readers, the viewers, media, that we're only halfway through and that there have been a barrage of deserving nominations, but the panel of judges are also saying not only how you can nominate, but also kulang pa. Huwag niyong kalimutan, meron pa tayong kalahati na tsansa, no, in the next 2 weeks, up to October 22, to provide all the nominations of business establishments, workplaces, and LGUs that you think are deserving. Do not forget, we're flashing again on the screen how you can do the nominations. We are reminding you that nominations are unlimited. You can nominate as often as you want. You should supply, if you can, photos and stories, balik-balikan nyo. Most important of all, okay? Encourage your family and friends, okay, to nominate also. In your workplace, yung mga kasama nyong kawani, mga employees, management, please, this is the first Mobility Awards, and when we move to the national stage, it will become even bigger. Our support is only growing larger and larger, natural, and only just because we are doing this activity to honor and to elevate the interest of the great majority of our population, the ones who do not own cars, the households na walang sariling kotse. Ang campaign na ito ay hindi para dagdagan ang kanilang kotse o bumili sila ng kanilang sarili o mag-rent, kundi this campaign is to give them more options so that they do not need to own their own cars and that they live better lives because they're healthier, they're happier, and it contributes to a more vibrant economy. 88%, that's something that we need to understand, especially the name of the awards, Mobility Awards. Nagsisimula po tayo sa cycling. But as we know, active mobility is more than just bicycles. But we need to start somewhere, including geographically, because we start with Metro Manila, also for the organizers to test our abilities, because for us, the biggest prize out there is really a nationwide contest where provinces, cities, regions compete with one another as to who really deserves the Mobility Awards. When we compete for the Mobility Awards, the great majority wins. Pangkalahatan para sa karamihan. So with that, we thank our panel of judges. Salamat po sa inyo. Please pay attention to our Facebook page and the website as well, because we will not go away. We will be in your face all the time as much as we can. Again, a reminder, we have a lot of disagreements all the time, and that's great in our country. We have a democracy. But we also have the option to help one another. If we think government is not doing well enough, our job is to help. Because when we help, we're not helping government, we're helping society. Tulong-tulong po. The awards, pay attention. Pag dumating na ang awarding, dapat mas marami pa. Increase your nominations, colleagues. And with that, I thank everyone. Salamat sa lahat, especially my colleagues who put this together. No? Salamat AC, Ira, and Denise, and everyone else in Climate Reality, Pinay Bike Commuter Community, 350.org, Manila Moves, and Climate Reality Project Philippines. Salamat sa inyo lahat. Padyak pa, mga kaibigan. Thank you.
Salamat.
Salamat.
Thank you po.